This is Cheryl Brown, the first African American contestant for the title of Miss America. That was back in 1971. This photo was taken in September of 1959 in New York. It shows the legendary Helena Rubinstein at her shop on Fifth Avenue, number 655. And check out the hairdryers. This is one of the rare photos of Vincent van Gogh. He's shown here when he was just 20 years old. Alright, check this out. This photo shows typewriters in a school, way back in 1970. Here's a fun one. This photo shows a father and son taking silly photos back in the 1910s. This picture shows a German soldier taking aim and firing a gun. He's doing it from the back of his horse. You can see this was taken way back in 1939. Here's a photo of a young girl from the 1930s during the Great Depression. Here's a photo from Chicago in 1950. Looks like a group of girls are having a blast playing jump rope. American women welders during World War II. Here's a sweet photo from 1939. It shows a little child beaming from ear to ear holding a tiny kitten. This is white, just plain white. Here's a shot taken during the construction of the Manhattan Company building, way back in 1930. That building, located at 40 Wall Street in New York City, was really something. Here's a photo of a female firefighting team. This was taken in London way back in 1932. They're riding a converted motorcycle, ready to spring into action. Pretty cool, huh? Here's a shot of a skateboarder zipping through Central Park back in the 1960s. Here's a photo from the 1890s. It's a Tibetan lady, Annie Choki. Here's the shot. A woman and her cat in Times Square all the way back in 1956. Here's a photo from 1972. It shows a burning wall crumbling down in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Here's a disturbing image. It's from Yorkshire, all the way back in 1869. It shows a patient in an insane asylum being restrained by warders. It's a powerful and clearly upsetting scene. The photographer was a guy named Henry Clark. Here's a shot of an RF Lancaster bomber soaring over Hamburg, Germany during a bombing raid. Here's a picture of Albert Einstein. He's standing between the Adelot couple in Princeton, New Jersey back in 1951. This amazing photo shows a drive-in theatre in San Francisco, way back in 1948. This photo shows how friends were deleted back in 1859. This photo was taken in Italy way back in 1929. It shows someone drying pasta. Classic. Here's a photo of a black female Union soldier. It was taken in 1862. Here's Robin Williams back in 1974. Here's a charming shot. This little kitten is perched right on the shoulder of a British Royal Air Force fighter pilot. This photo was taken around 1944. Here's a photo from November of 1940. It shows a YMCA mobile canteen parked right beside an anti-aircraft battery. You can see it there, serving soldiers. Here's a photo of the bowling alley at the Blackpool Winter Gardens, taken way back in 1959. Here's a portrait of two women taken in Zanzibar around the year 1900. Here's a photo from the 1890s featuring a man with Down syndrome. Here's a picture of an American soldier who lost his legs in World War I. Here's a photo of actress Belle Bilton playing the part of Beauty in Beauty and the Beast. This was taken in 1889. Niagara Falls froze over. This happened all the way back in 1883. Here's a photo of a small person, maybe a child, wearing a ribbon. The ribbon says, Coolidge, 1925, Washington, D.C. It seems like the photo was actually taken on January 23, 1924. This photo is from the Maryhill Olympics. That was in Glasgow back in 1980. This photo is probably a nightmare for every medical student. Here's a fun photo from 1952. You've got the amazing Gene Kelly, and he's mid-leap, perfectly posed. He's jumping over these film cans, and they're all labelled with the titles of his movies. Pretty cool, right? This photo shows a group of women in Virginia, sometime around 1909 to 1912. This is a beauty micrometer, or as it's sometimes called, a beauty calibrator. It was actually invented way back in 1930 by Max Factor. Here's a fun one. Check out this photo of kids reacting to meeting Andre the Giant. It looks like it's from the 1970s. You can see the total awe on their faces. What an experience that must have been. Here's a great shot of Martin Luther King Jr. and Marlon Brando, taken in 1968. Above you can see a Rwandan man with an Amasunzu hairstyle. The photo was taken back in 1923. Here's a shot of Elizabeth Taylor from the film Giant, which came out in 1956. Here's a photo from Chicago, taken way back in 1929. It shows a mailman looking a little weighed down, you know. He's got a huge load of Christmas mail and packages. Looks like he's going to be busy. Even rock stars were young once. Just imagine them before the screaming crowds, the sold-out tours, back when they were just starting out. Here's a photo of Norma Jean. It was taken way back in 1945 before she became the iconic Marilyn Monroe. Now this is a photo you don't see every day. It's a young woman in the 1950s taking her pet lobster out for a walk. Talk about unique. Here's the first photo of a recording studio, taken way back in 1898. Wow, check out this incredible shot. It's a near miss at an air show from 1950. Pretty intense, right? Here's a photo of John F. Kennedy with his lifelong friend Lem Billings back in 1933. Here's Steven Spielberg kicking back with the one and only Jaws. Looks like a fun day on set, doesn't it? Here's a photo of cats in a hammock aboard the HMAS Nizam. This was way back in 1941. This fascinating photo shows Adolf Hitler back in 1925 practicing his speeches. You can see him rehearsing right in front of a mirror. Here's a photo from 1956 of a kitten playing photographer. Isn't that adorable? Here's a picture of a woman from the Mangbetu tribe in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. She's holding her child, and this photo was taken sometime between 1929 and 1937. Check out this cool photo. It's Cosmos the robot, and he was made in France way back in 1958. Here's a photo of a patient with chronic schizophrenia. He's standing in a catatonic pose, and you know, he held that really uncomfortable position for hours. This is a photo of Miss Idaho Potato from 1935. This photo shows the Pied Piper displaying his catch right in the town square of Louise, Kentucky, back in 1953. Here's a cool one. Check out this rare photo of a remote control from the 1970s. Alright, this photo shows Ferruccio Lamborghini back in the 1960s. Here's a cool old photo. This photographer was hanging from a crane way up in the air taking pictures of the streets in London. This was all the way back in 1929. Talk about dedication. Here's Charles Darwin, photographed in 1869. Here's a photo of Salvo the paradog completing a parachute jump during training. We're taking a trip back in time to the theatre, to an era when smoking in public was still the norm. Here's a photo of Pharaoh's daughters, water carriers, from Egypt. Here's a look at the Beaumont Drive entrance of Frank Sinatra's home, back in the 1960s. Here's a photo of acrobat Luisita Lears, taken around 1929. This photo was taken in 1956 in New Jersey. It's titled "To Win a Bet." Wow! Check out this amazing photo! It's a boy's reaction to staring at a TV screen for the very first time. This was all the way back in 1948. Can you imagine seeing television for the first time? That's got to be something. Here's a photo of Salvador Dali and Coco Chanel taking a smoke break back in 1938. Here's Alice Cooper putting his face on back in 1973. So this ghost under your bed, this is what it looks like. Here's a fun one. This photo shows a woman from the Victorian era and she's making a funny face for the camera. We don't know who she is, but she's definitely not shy. Here's a portrait of hockey goalie Terry Sawchuk, taken before face masks were standard. That was way back in 1966.